The spring game is here this weekend, and we're going to go over the 5 things that you're going to want to watch for that will tell you everything you need to know about Boston College heading into the summer. All of this and more on today's Locked On Boston College.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. I am your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor and publisher of BC Bulletin, part of the Sports Illustrated and Fan Nation network of sites. Come check out my work at bcbulletin.com. On today's show, it's the Jay McGillis spring football game this weekend, and I'm going to get into all the little details that you're going to want to watch for as you watch this glorified exhibition. But before we get into that, we're going to get into 5 things that we're going to look for. But before I talk about that, let's talk a little bit about the game itself. So far, Jeff Hafley hasn't announced what the format of the game is going to be. You know, in years past, we've seen all sorts of crazy setups. You know, Adazio did that whole point system. I think even Spaziani did that, where, you know, you got a certain amount of points for this and that and this and that. And it was impossible for a fan to watch. But it's not really the point of this. It's a glorified exhibition. And even last year, they did like situational plays and things like that in the second half of the game. So Hafley has said he wants to see where his players are at in terms of injuries and depths at different positions. So hopefully by the end of, Wednesday or Thursday, we'll get a better idea of what they're planning on doing. So that's the first part. The second thing I want to get into in terms of the spring game is for those folks that are hoping to see what the new look offense is going to look like, or how good the defense has improved, or any sort of measure at all on those fronts, you're going to be in for a very big disappointment. If you're going into this game watching for takeaways like, man, the offense looks bland, man, the offense looks the same as last year, or man, that offense hasn't done anything different than I haven't seen, you're missing the point. Boston College, Jeff Hafley, one thing that he has done, and to his credit or to his detriment, and I honestly don't get it, is he is so guarded about any sort of advantage he can give to another team. Now, as I said last weekend, I was planning on going to BC for Saturday to go watch practice, but they switched it to a scrimmage and then boom, no media availability. I mean, whatever. And as we've seen with injuries, he's always guarded about that kind of stuff. So you have to imagine a game that's going to be played on the ACC network, a game that any scout can watch. They are not giving you anything. If BC has worked on any new formations, any new kind of gadgety plays, you're not going to see that. You're just going to see the basics in this game. The real, whatever, they're going to want to put out there. Very simple stuff. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you really can't get anything out of this game. If you're worried about the defense or you want to see how a performance player performs, basically Hafley also, and I get it for this, this is going to most likely, isn't announced it yet, but I would bet money that if this is a game, it's going to be thud tackling. And if you don't know what thud tackling is, it means basically when the defender, puts his shoulder into you and they wraps you up, that's the end of the play. So you're not going to see, how a player looks on missed tackles or what happens here or there. And it's not really much to gain out of any of that in terms of the defense. But you can't complain about that. I'm telling you, I've saw people complaining about this last year. Yes, it's an exhibition game. It is an exhibition game. And what would you think if Zay Flowers went up for a catch and got his legs clipped under him and blew out his knee and was out for the year because of a stupid exhibition game? No, that is not what this is about. So the defense is going to be kind of, they do their thing and you get to see how they perform on certain drills and things like that, but you're not going to see what their improvements are against the run or how they are blitzing and things like that. Because, one of the things we saw last year was that defenses were good against, trying to get to the quarterback, but was actually wrapping them up. We won't get an answer to that. So I thought of 5 things. It's not all bleak. I'm telling you, there's still reasons to be excited about this weekend's game. There's still reasons to watch it because there is things that you can watch for. And I came up with 5 reasons that you can get things that to look for in this spring game. The first one is the play of the offensive line. Okay, this is a storyline that has been beaten to death already, and we're already in April. But 4 of Boston College's 5 starting offensive linemen have entered the NFL draft. Alec Lindstrom and Zion Johnson both are gone, and they're going to be drafted. Tyler Vrabel, Ben Petrula, they got a little work to do, and a kiss and a prayer that they get in. But they're going to probably be on NFL teams. But that's 4 guys that were starters for the last 2 years that are gone. You are left with Christian Mahogany, who I was talking to Mitch Wolf, who was on yesterday's show, said arguably could be the best guard in the country. So that's a good way to start. Then you add in Drew Kendall. You add in Ozzie Trapillo, Jack Conley, and probably Finn Durstein at that other guard position. So you have guards of Conley and Trapillo, and then, tackles of Trapillo and Conley, and then guards of Durstein and Mahogany with Drew Kendall in the middle. That's still a lot of question marks. And yes, you won't see how they do against like complex blitzes or reading certain things. But, if they go out there, if Phil Jurkovec goes out there and BC's defense is getting to him over and over again, or we're seeing pre-snap penalties, which you do see in a spring game, you see false starts and things like that, you start to worry a little bit. Now, there's still time. Obviously, there's, 5 months until opening kickoff. But that will be a big thing to watch for. How those players go, how those players looking, how are they working as a unit? How has new offensive line coach Dave DeGuglielmo and new offensive coordinator John McNulty kind of rework this offensive line so that they play at the level that you want them to play at? Because yes, they've had their moments, but they've been inconsistent. So, a good spring game where they keep Jurkovec on his feet and showcase that they're not like completely raw and making dumb mistakes, I think that's something to watch for. If Jack Conley, for instance, is looking like he's on skates again like he did last year, you can worry about that, because that is a concern, right? And you hope not, because from the reports from practices and things like that, it doesn't sound like that's been the case, but it's still something to think about, right? So that's the play of the offensive line, I think, will be the first thing that you're going to want to watch for. And Jack Conley is specific. No pressure, Jack. Now, the second one. Let's go to not the other side of the ball. Let's go to the other side of the ball, and I'm talking special teams, because special teams doesn't get talked enough about enough. Now, the kicker position is locked down. Aaron Boumeri, he's gone. He's in the transfer portal. I don't know if he's ever found a spot. I mean, the hip issue it's a major problem for a kicker, but he's gone. Connor Layton, it looks to be a very, very good college kicker, and BC has him for 3 more years. So that's not an issue of concern. The punter, though, Grant Carlson, is gone. And say what you will, he was inconsistent. Let's just say that he was inconsistent, because I thought the first part of the year he was excellent and kept BC in a lot of games and did an amazing job flipping the field. However, the second half of the year, let's say right around the time that he got drilled against NC State it was hit or miss. A lot of misses in there. Now, BC has a chance to change that. Grant Carlson was around for 4 or 5 years. Seems like forever. Now they have a chance for a new punter. And it seems at this point that it's down to 2 people. And it's going to be either Danny Longman, who is apparently the king of social media. I believe he has 1 million followers on TikTok, but I haven't seen a punt in a long time, so I'm curious to see that. Or it's going to be true freshman and Aussie rules kicker, Sam Candotti. Now, I am just dying to see a BC Aussie rule kicker. Now, that's like a rugby style kicker where, they kind of grab it, kick it on a low line drive. I'm all about that. You know what I mean? Like, if it's between that and like a Carlson kick for 37 yards, give me the Aussie rule kick all the time. But he's new to football, and might take him a little while. So the buzz that I've heard is that Longman might be the guy that takes it. But this could be something to watch. And this is a perfect opportunity for both of these guys to show what they can do, because then they're not going to get drilled. But you can see how they are with directional punting, how they are with getting some loft in the kick or getting the ball where they want to. So I think the punter competition, as silly as that sounds, could be a really interesting spot to watch in this game. And you could see the true freshman or I guess Danny Longman's a chiseled veteran, but he's a guy that's been around for a while, and see where your eyes see BC going for that punting position. It's something that you can easily watch for. Now, in a moment, I'm going to go over two of the next two things to watch for. And to quote, and I'll give you a little bit of a clue here, to quote Cousin Vinny, it's all about the Utes. It's going to be about the Utes in segment number 2. Now, this is the time of the year that I've given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but I got to get myself ready to hit the beach as it's getting warmer here, and I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right, even though my New Year's resolution's gone, because of Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. And I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again. Have you tried the Puffs yet? I'm telling you, if you've missed out on them, you're missing on one of the Built Bar's best tasting products. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar, they are a treat, and they're covered in 100% chocolate. Can you imagine that? It's good for you, and it's a chocolate-covered marshmallow puff. You're not going to beat it. It's amazing. All Built Bars are covered in 100% chocolate, and they listen to the nutritional profile of a Built Bar. Most of them have around 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. That's going to keep you filled up. It keeps me filled up when I have one every day at 2:30 to give me the boost I need to make it to the end of the day. Now, they have some great flavors. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and now, for this new month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They are all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. You got to go to Built.com and check them out. If they think their flavor might be good, they'll make it, and it will be delicious and good for you. So go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. For all of you who have done so already, who have gone to our YouTube page, Locked On Boston College, I want to thank you for all of you who have subscribed. And I have a little morsel that I'm going to throw out there to get you, if you have not done so already, to subscribe to our YouTube page, because I'm going to start putting out some exclusive content that you're not going to get on the podcast feed up on that YouTube page. And the first thing I'm going to start doing is doing about a 10-minute bonus, like a Locked On Boston College bonus section on extra recruiting news, stuff that you're not going to find on the podcast, and you're only going to get it on YouTube. So make sure you go to YouTube now, look up Locked On Boston College, and hit subscribe, and make sure you get that bell going, so you're going to want to know when we're going to start doing this, because we're going to do all sorts of fun things with this YouTube page, and I can't wait, and I hope you become part of it. So hit that subscribe button and recommend it to all your friends and family. Now, I was saying the second segment, we're looking at things about spring football that we're excited about. The spring game, Jay McGillis Game. It's 11 a.m. on Saturday at Alumni Stadium. The game's on ACC Network if you're not around. One of my yearly complaints about this is that BC does nothing, in my eyes, to advertise this. They don't make it into a big deal. Like, you go down south, the spring game is everything, right? You go to, they have tailgating, it's a big event, right? And it still means nothing. And I could get into that for another show, what I would love to see the spring game become, but that's not for here or there. But I wish BC would either allow tailgating, which I know is a pain in the neck, so they're not going to do that, but get tents up. Like, you know how during the football season they had those tents right around where the Plex used to be? Get those up, get food trucks, get beer trucks, get like a DJ or a live couple bands. Simple stuff. You could do that and make it a big deal at Boston College. But I've been shouting this into the wind for about 13, 15 years now, and I've never seen anything, so I'm not expecting it to happen. But it will be my white whale as a Boston College follower. Now, we were talking about some of the things about this game to get excited about, and I said heading into the break that this is my Cousin Vinny segment. It's about the Utes. Who are you saying? Utes? Yes, Utes. I love that movie, and when he says that line cracks me up, and I've watched it over a dozen times. But there's two things about this upcoming Jay McGillis game that involve the youth that I think, or the Utes, that I think are worth everyone watching. Now, the first and foremost are the young quarterbacks. Okay? The quarterbacks is an easy position to watch for, and that's an easy one to kind of get a feel of where a quarterback is at, right? For all of the folks out there that don't know who Dalen Menard is, don't know what Matt Reeve can do, are curious what Emmett Morehead can do. You are going to get a chance to see what they look like. For Emmett Morehead, how is he looking? I saw Phil Jurkovec talking about how he's still working in the pocket, being comfortable in the pocket. I mean, that's a good chance to kind of get a feel for it. How is he doing in that sense? How is he in terms of not just looking for 30-yard bombs all the time? Where is he at there? I think Emmett Morehead, that's a valuable thing. And then for Reeve and Dalen Menard, just kind of what they have. I mean, for many of you out there, you might have watched some of the spring game last year, but this will give you a chance to kind of, we saw last year what happens when Jurkovec goes down. Everyone's like, oh, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy. Now you get a chance to say, okay, so hope to God that Jurkovec doesn't go down. Hope that he stays on his feet all year. But if he doesn't, what did I see during that spring game that gives me a better feel for, okay, Emmett Morehead, he stepped down, but I could see some potential there. Or, you know what, Dalen Menard isn't what I thought he was going to be. But you're going to get a chance to kind of see that. How do they work in this offense? How are they able to avoid getting sacked? They get good touches on their passes. They have good arms. For those of you that haven't had a chance to get to practice, this is a perfect opportunity for you to watch these players live. And so I think the quarterback play is something interesting. Now, I wished Peter Delaporte was there. I'd love to see what he could do too. But maybe next year you'll have Delaporte and Jacoby Robinson. I don't know if Robinson's early enrolling. I haven't had a chance to ask him that yet. I'm sure he hasn't even thought about it. But you'll have even more young guys, and that will be the story next year. It's like, where is the depth at quarterback and who are they going with? So the quarterback play is something I think will be worth watching. Now, the other Ute to watch for, and I hope that you guys aren't getting mad at me for saying that because it's making me laugh and I like to be happy. So is the young players at all the other positions, right? Now you look on the defensive side of the ball. And BC usually plays at least two safety, right? And you have Jaden Woodbay at one safety, but you've lost that other safety. From what I've heard, Jason Maitre, it sounds like he could be going back to cornerback. He could be safety. We don't know. But you're going to get a chance to see some of these younger guys. A guy like Cole Batson, who I've heard has been playing quite a bit. And he is a guy that was recruited by Hafley to play safety. I think he's got a big future for them, so you'll get to see him play. At linebacker, how is Bryce Steele looking, right? We saw him a little bit last year, saw him in some packages and some games. But where is he at now? What's he doing now? And, there's a bunch of guys on the defensive line, I think, that are young, too, that you want to see. Donovan Ezeiraku will be one that you're going to want to watch for. But Neto Okpala, I have been crowing about him since he got on campus, and Hafley has talked all about speed on his team, wanting speed at all positions. Neto Okpala is a track star, and he could be that speed demon defensive end. We just haven't seen a lot of it. We saw it very much so last year against Clemson when he blocked that punt. He blew off that line. But will he be able to do that this year? He'll be a nice one to watch. He'll be something that you get to check out. On the offensive side of the ball, what about guys like Lewis Bond or Taji Johnson? Now, Taji Johnson's not really young, but some of these other younger guys that are on the roster. And we'll get into that in the final segment, some of these other players. But there's youth all over this roster. Hafley's brought in, 50, 60 guys since he's been here. And then a lot of them haven't seen the field, haven't had a chance to do it yet. Like Nigel Tate, I am dying. Many of you don't even know who that is. He's a defensive tackle. He was a true freshman in 2021. He came in, I think, at 6'5", 350. He is absolutely enormous. He has one of my favorite recruiting pictures I've ever seen, and it's him. He looks like Andre the Giant, basically, size, against, Wee Man. And, or, one of the smaller wrestlers out there. He is huge, and I'm kind of just dying to see what he can do. I don't know. I've heard good things about him, but I haven't seen him play yet. So just those opportunities for those guys to play. And then it's just the new guys in general, like George Takis, the coaches, just getting a chance to see and hear from them, I think will be a really fun little experience as well. Now, we have one more to go. And I'll get into what my last thing I'm really looking forward to about the spring game in our final segment. And then I got a few little newsy things I want to get to you as well. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs in sports info. Find all the latest developments from sports, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the leagues this season, including Major League Baseball, which is opening up this week. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black on tomorrow's show. You're not going to want to miss this. More recruiting news. You guys have been asking for it. I'm going to give you more. I'll give you some updates on some of the guys that BC's been targeting. I'll let you know about some of the ones that are in good shape. I'll give you everything in between. I'm going to start digging in and give you some good information here on Locked On Boston College. You're going to want to make sure that you check out Wednesday's episode on your podcast app, or more preferably on YouTube. Now, our final thing, we're talking about the spring football game. And I warned you in the first segment, do not overlook what you're going to get into this game in terms of what's going to come out of it. For the folks that really read into it, it's not the wisest thing to read into anything about this game. Though I have to say, I think it was, 2015 or 2016 was the game that I think BC won. They had like a 6-3 game in the spring. And it was quite the foreshadowing of a tough season ahead. And that game, I think, was rightfully so because the offense was putrid watching that game. But you could still find other things to look for. Now, the final thing that I am very interested in is the offense, and specifically it has to do with the who surrounds Jurkovec on the first team. Now, you know Zay Flowers will be out there. You know that Jalen Gill will be out there. For the most part, at running back, expect Patrick Garwo to be out there a lot. But we talked on Monday's episode with Mitch Wolf about the 4 wide receiver set that they're going to run out there. Who will be that 4th wide receiver? Is it going to be Tajee Johnson? Is it going to be Lewis Bond? Is it going to be somebody completely different? Is it going to be Xavier Coleman? Who are they going to put out there? And how will they use some of the stuff with the tight ends, right? I got to talk about tight ends. It's my show, and you guys would hate me if I didn't bring up tight ends. But George Takis, Joey Luchetti, where are their roles going to play? Charlie Gordonier. Like, who surrounds Jurkovec on that first team, and how do they use them? Now, again, you have to be careful with what you're looking for. There's guys banged up. There's, specific parts of the playbook that are going to be under wraps because Jeff Hafley keeps that under lock and key, and I get it. But you might get a better feel of like, ooh, that guy's got good chemistry with Jurkovec. Ooh, that guy, is hitting spots where Jurkovec can hit him. That's the kind of stuff that I think is worth watching. And that might open your eyes to like, oh, this is a kid that must have had a really good camp. This is a kid that is going to be on that 2 deep next year. And it's not just going to be Zay Flowers, Jalen Gill, and Jaden Williams. It's going to be some of these other guys, too, that are going to be out there because you do need depth because injuries do happen. So where are those guys coming from and how do they connect with Jurkovec? I think that'll be worth watching. And, of course, you want to see how Jurkovec looks. Of course you want to watch that, right? The last time we saw him, his hand looked like it was in a lot of discomfort, that Wake Forest game. But he should be 100% by now. I loved just watching him throw. I mean, how awesome is that? Like, you're not going to get, it's been so long. It's been Matt Ryan, right? Since BC has had a quarterback that can throw like Jurkovec can. And any chance you get to see him throw is a treat because you're going to be watching him on Sunday next year. So I think that'll be just one little piece. That's kind of a bonus, the wild card reason to get into this game. Now, I said there was going to be news, but I recorded that earlier. There really wasn't any news today. It was a quiet day in Boston College sports. I think everyone's getting ready for the national title game that happened last night. Again, I'm recording before that game happens. But thank you all for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow with our recruiting grab bags, something you're going to want to check out. You get all your recruiting news, get you all caught up to date. Make sure to check out BC Bulletin too, because I got interviews on there. I've got forecasts on different players. I just put up I was bored the other night. I worked on creating a spreadsheet on BC Bulletin that has all these scholarship offers that BC's offered in the class 2020 3, excuse me. By position, you can scroll it. You can find the players. I have links. I'm starting to put in links for the articles that I've written on some of them. It's a great way for you just to kind of get an idea where BC's looking and what names are connected with the Eagles. Now, just as a warning for that, I'll talk about this more. Some of those players, they're listed as having an offer, but they may not be committable. They may, whatever. But follow me on Twitter at AJBlack_BC or at LockedOnBC. On tomorrow's show, on Wednesday, I will be on Locked On ACC as well. I'm sure I'll be talking about the national title game and spring football. So you want to check that out as well. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.